deep into the news of pretty much everything else that we got in between from what we've heard with the franchise and its continuation.
Yep, hello everybody. I am Gaming Fan, like you mentioned earlier, and we gotta talk about, well, mostly ranting, about Steven Universe.
Right.
And we gotta talk about various things. Mostly, you said it yourself earlier before the recording, which is basically your critique of Steven Universe, like pacifism. Well, not necessarily pacifism, but the idea that he had to befriend and redeem pretty much anybody, regardless of
Pretty much.
whether or not they actually deserve it. you know.
Yes. I
Este,
mean, look at White Diamond. Like, look at like it wasn't White Diamond the one who ran every single one, especially the white gems to like I said white gems, the water gems to okay, that was not racism, that was not accidental racism. That's like
I mean, she
the
is a
white the
white
water gem.
gem.
No. I was talking about the water gems because they're well blue and water, and I just for some reason said white gem on accident. No, but the
Um,
thing is, like, wasn't she the one who had all them enslaved and all the other ones working for her? And then she was supposed to be like the biggest of bad. Even they were saying that she's too bad. And
yeah,
then the
yeah,
only one that he couldn't redeem was Jasper. Yeah.
yeah. Well, you going to start strong with white gem. Like, okay, who we gotta criticize first? Of course, the most Hitler-esque, character we have in
Oh yes,
in the setting. Because look,
yes.
okay, let me talk about this real quick, like the Steven Universe thing, especially White Gem. Like, I have a love-hate relationship with Steven Universe. Okay, you are very aware of this, but I have a love-hate relationship with Steven Universe. I love the setting, I love the characters, I like the character designs, the writing, the LGBT representation, fucking love it. However, there is a lot of shit you can point out to the show, especially
Sadly.
Steven Universe, uh, almost suicidal pacifism. It's the
Oh no.
like I said, and I guess
Oh
the
no.
idea. I like the idea that you have a character who is by principle pacifist, and you can use it to challenge
Right.
his ideals. Because look at, for example, another show that deals with a similar exploration, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Aang is a pacifist.
Vang.
Yeah,
But at
but
least, but here's the thing about Aang is no. But here's the thing about Aang is like he's a pacifist that's more successful in terms of like he tries to do a more like structural and more pragmatic way of doing stuff. While Steven is just kind of like everybody gets something, but Aang was more wise than that than Steven. If we're gonna make a comparison, like well, the way they handle their pacifism, because like
that's why
yeah,
I was getting it, because
yeah,
I
yeah,
can understand why he wants to help and redeem if the many of the characters who are started as villains, right? And he actually
right,
did
right.
successfully, right, to many of the characters. Like, for example, Lapis, right, the water gem. The other one I can't remember that her name, that is like green, who is like the smart one, that is like,
Uh-huh.
I is she canonically autistic? Like, if I'm not
Wait,
mistaken.
let me see. Wait, let me see. Because you said you mentioned the other gym. Are you talking about Garnet?
Yes, I think it was Garnet.
If she's
Yes,
autistic?
I think so
Are you
because
sure?
I think so because, like I said, many Teshure, the creator of Steven Universe, intentionally wrote many characters that are like, LGBT,
Hmm.
neurodivergent, people with different backgrounds, right? So it's like
It
I
doesn't say
think.
nothing. It doesn't say nothing about. It doesn't say nothing about her being artistic. I mean, that's as long as what I see. It doesn't say nothing about that.
Well, regardless, like, she has a very distinct personality. But the whole point is, like, Steven Universe, who is a pacifist, right, for the most part, who's also a vegetarian, right? That's been established. Este, the and of all the characters he decides, like, there are many cases throughout the show that he shouldn't redeem or even bother to befriend.
Oh, definitely.
I think the White Diamond is the worst scenario, like the worst example of this problem. Whereas, like, not only
Right.
that, I think I blame Cartoon Network for this one because they were rushing the ending of Steven Universe, right? Because clearly,
Oh
if
yeah.
the like Shuri, if they wanted to expand more, but they canceled the show mostly because of the LGBT elements in the show. Because, for example, in China or in other like Middle Eastern countries, I can't remember which one. I don't think it's all of them, but like some of them, like they had to remove certain episodes or censor it because of the LGBT story elements within. Like for example, do you remember the famous, what which considered a crowning example animation, the wedding episode? Hmm.
Yeah, dude, I accidentally turned the shit off on the buttons.
I don't know. I'm recording just in case, but yeah.
Okay, good thing. Okay, good thing to if you say. Let me turn that back on because I did not mean to do that shit. That's my bad.
Okay, okay. Technical difficulties on your end. But
Oh,
yeah,
definitely.
but I was about to say earlier, like I think the biggest worst example is Steven Universe. Like I can understand the whole concept trying to befriend and trying to fake friendships of former enemies. We see that in anime a lot because Steven Universe is heavily influenced by anime.
Hmm.
Like we see this in Dragon Ball Z, with Goku befriending Vegeta, Piccolo, and Majin Buu, and other example. Although he does has his limits like Frieza and Cell, right? If the same thing is we see Naruto, who befriends many of the characters, you know. If the But Steven Universe is one of the case where he kind of went a little too far, where that like he tried to befriend
Yeah,
everybody, regardless regardless of the character's actions, motivations, and let's be
dude,
honest,
dude,
what
dude, dude. My shit is acting up again. Wait, hold on. Let me let you. I'm gonna let you know real quick.
thankfully I had my own recording just in case. But like yeah, I was about to say like all these characters, like for example White Diamond and the oh yeah, we have to forget in this gem society, right? In their own
Right,
civilization, they have a fucking caste system. Let's not forget about this.
that's
They
true.
they have a caste
I forgot about
system.
that.
Yeah, of course White Diamond is at the top, right?
Right,
They're the
right.
great authority. There's Yellow Diamond, there's Blue Diamond, and there's Pink Diamond, which Steven Universe technically now represents, right?
Right.
And then we have, let's be honest, they committed very fucked up crimes for a kids show. I mean, there's been many kids shows throughout history that explore these themes, right? Right, but like,
Right.
for but it's another thing because they're technically not human, technically speaking, right? So you can kind of
Right.
get away with actually showing the crime in question. For example, if the genocide, genocide
Actually,
is a
actually,
thing.
actually, I hate to break it to you, but that's not genocide because they blow up planets. That's omnicide, which is a whole and everything gets destroyed. That's not genocide. That's omnicide, which is even worse.
Okay, okay, fair enough, but you get my point.
Yeah.
You get my point regardless,
Right.
right? If
Right.
I think the only other character I could think of in Steven Universe where Steven not only failed to befriend, uh,
Jasper.
yes, Jasper is the only character
Yeah.
that Steven Universe not only failed to befriend, but outright has to use violence to stop Jasper. You know,
I remember that.
that is one of the rare examples that Steven Universe has to break his own rule.
Right.
To fix the situation.
And
And
also the fact that I was going to say point out like also the fact that Steven throughout the entire show where he does develop PTSD, but he doesn't handle it very well. And to make it even worse is that he's not even trying to like accept it. Instead, he try to like deny it. And that too also adds on to the drama when we go into the Steven Universe future, which we'll get into later. But it's like he
yeah,
just like because when you have an issue, you have to at least acknowledge it. so you can at least move forward with it. But
Yeah,
Steven, on the other hand, he just basically, it's like he'd rather just be in denial than try to actually see what the real problem is, and
yeah.
all that does is just make it worse for him, and he has
I
to like face it,
I
and
I can
deny it.
I
So
can kind of understand where they're trying to go with this because it is kind of realistic.
right,
It's kind of realistic
yeah,
when you
yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
where people who actually had these PTSD, like the first thing they do is not get help. They're basically in denial or suppress that
Right,
emotion. It is to an extent kind of realistic, right?
it is,
Especially
it
if
is.
Steve himself is still a child, right? Like,
Yeah, he's
you
still a
know,
child,
so being a kid, it's already hard enough for some kids, right? Being a kid with
pretty much.
PTSD, that is another whole ball game that most people don't even want to see happen, right? If
Right,
the
right.
But even then, like we see other examples throughout the show that I have problems with, like for example, besides the whole space fascism with the gems, as the
Let's
like
if you want to call it that, might as well call it that.
it is kind of when you think. I mean, it has a caste system. How
Pretty
obvious
much.
you could get. It's like that is pretty
Although
obvious.
the fact that you just say caste system, I made me think of communism. If I got that wrong, it's like I made me think of like some like space communism. I'm
Well,
like, wait, what? What's going on here?
that would be the complete opposite. Because
Oh,
if it was space communism, the whole point is everybody would be equal instead of being separate into
okay, never
superior
mind.
and inferior.
Okay, never mind. Okay, never mind. Then in that case, okay, it's like my worst mix up. This is just segregation, just with different ways of doing it, basically. So there you go.
Yes, it is segregation, but instead of skin color, it's based on what type of rock you're made of. Yeah, for the most part.
Still pretty much following the same, still pretty much following the same logic of like if they are water gems, they gotta be slaves, and if they're pink diamond, so forth, But at the same time, I will say this though, like like for example, like I think what's her name didn't appear more until we saw her in Steven Universe Future. That would be Lapis Lazuli,
Yes.
and I feel like in her case, it's like she was one of the ones that I feel like Steven, when interacting with her, and considering how long she was trapped in that, I forget what she was trapped into. It's been a while since I watched that show.
Yeah.
And then at first she wasn't trusting the gems, and then over time, she would come around to that. And the only person she really became friends with what's her name? That
The
one
green
that
one.
looked green,
Yeah.
short ass.
Peridot.
Yeah, the short one. Yeah, period. Like she's the only one she really became friends with. Everybody else is like me. I won't say I won't say like okay. At least I guess I can say she's more close to Steven, but I feel like maybe on the scale of 1 to 10, she's more closer with Peridot. And then, not to mention all the other gems that they showed in that show. That also, I want to say those later seasons where they start, kind of being band together. Oh crap! You know what? I just realized something. One person just showed a video, and I didn't even think about that. But one person thinks it was this is class Mandy again. They think that Greg and Amethyst were friends with Benefits. Do you want me to show the video, or are you just showing your end?
I don't think we should stop because copyright possibility,
Okay, never
right?
mind. Never
But
mind. Never mind.
but
No,
again,
because I mean, because he showed like the way Amethyst was talking to Greg, even like with the other two gems, I forget the other one's name, Pearl and Garnet. It's like they would be there for hours or they'd be there for days. I'm like, okay, so what the fuck are they doing for days? And it's like they sure as hell they just watching some damn tapes, that's for sure. And then even the way she made it sound like because she transformed herself into Rose Quartz, talking about she could be anything he wants her to be. Like, okay, this is starting to sound like you guys were doing some shit together that I'm
I
pretty
mean,
sure.
it is on brand for Steven Universe because, like I said, there's a lot of
It sounds like it.
it,
It's like kind of implying,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, like I said, the entire story of Pearl. It's a one-sided love story. If they like she basically it's a lesbian love story where she fell in love with Big Time and right, but it was one-sided, right? Like then Big Timer never
right,
responded to that love because she fell in love with Craig instead, and she always felt resentful and jealous of it. and and feels regret that she never got the chance to actually be with Rose. Rose, right? If the And also, not only that, she's basically the adopted mother of Steven, the child
Pretty much.
of Rose and Greg, the person at the beginning she hated, right? So it's like,
Right.
again, eventually in the story, that's one of the better episodes in the series where they went to the like not a music festival, but like where Greg, Steven, and Pearl go together and they actually you know make their amends. Where like they actually reconcile their
Right.
differences, actually become good friends. It's one of the better episodes of the series, one of the better musicals in the series. It's a highlight. If the
Right.
But like I said, throughout the show, that I have a love relationship, like I already mentioned about the Steven pacifist and inconsistencies. I also have a problem with Steven Universe that there's so many filler episodes. If
Oh shit! Don't even get me started on the chill episodes.
Yeah, because I can understand a couple episodes, right? But especially when we go to like season three, where like the plot actually kicks in very hard compared to the first two seasons, where it has a story, but it was still like a relaxed kind of episodic feel still, regardless, right? Once we go to season three, where it's like
Right.
everything, it's like okay, now we gotta focus to the plot, But they still add so many filler episodes that was like completely unnecessary, right?
Wait. Correct me if I'm wrong, but did Steven Universe feature have any filler episodes, or was that all like straight onto the outcome of
It
that
it it's a
season?
it's
Or
a
at least,
it's an epilogue. I think it's only 6 episodes. It's a mini series. Yeah,
yeah, it's a mini series. That's what I
yeah,
was saying. Like, I think at least that one is not like just let's do a filler, like one filler episode, everything else just fall in between. It's like, nah, that was a mini series. And then, not to mention Rebecca Sugar talking about she wanted to do more Steven Universe content. It's just she took a while. Wait a minute, now to think about it, that was back in at the end of like 2019, and then when 2020 started, that's when that show in that first part when that year started. Then since then, that ship been on hold ever since.
yeah. If they my mistake, it's not 6 episodes. It's 20. It's just each episode is 10 minutes long.
Oh, okay,
Yeah. So it's
there it
the
is. Okay, well that figures.
Yeah, but no. The only problem I have with Steven Universe is like it is an epilogue, right? It's basically an epilogue series. It takes place after the events of the
Pretty much.
original and the movie. The only problem I have with the movie, it is just a giant filler, right?
It
There's
really is
like
a giant fail. I mean, especially the one, the rubber one. I forget her freaking name. The
yeah,
one with that ability is like, yeah, that's again the plot is predictable. So I'm
yeah,
like, this
yeah.
is the reason why I wasn't all that hyped for it because I already know the outcome of this movie. So what's the point of this shit? Like I said, the only ones I can even name that he never actually got to quote unquote redeem is like Jasper and maybe that second Lapis water gem that went away and never was seen ever again.
Yeah.
So
We never see her again, and probably in the sequel series, probably she may be at the combat because there are multiple characters in the story, especially in future, where it's still established they still hate Steven, they still want to kill Steven, right? And
oh
now
shit! Actually, if we're gonna bring that up, let's not forget to mention that they also know where he lives, so there's also that to consider. So
there's
there's that.
there's that, they know where they live,
Yeah,
which makes it terrifying in many cases. If
of
the
course it does, because it's your worst enemy. It knows where you live at, man. They're gonna pay you a visit, an unexpected guest, and nobody wants unexpected guests. Unless they plan for that. So it's like, yeah, you don't want that shit. I don't want
Yeah,
that shit.
like I said, like
Oh
there are
yeah,
many elements throughout the show that like they had to be established. Because I remember Rebecca Sugar did concept art of the sequel series, what it's gonna look like, right? Now we see Steven is like older. I don't know
yeah.
what age exactly, but I assume it's like
Who
college.
knows?
I think it's like college. I think he's gonna be in
Something like that.
college. He wears a blue jacket instead
Yeah,
of
Blue
pink.
Jacket.
So we gotta see a more
It
mature.
might be
Hmm.
that might be symbolizing something. And plus, not to mention how he handles his PTSD, and also how he like tries to, handle himself in his environment. Since it's been a while since he, went through those adventures, and then decided to try to handle it in the long run, like with his dad and whatnot. Especially that one episode where he was being all critical of his dad because he was having like a trauma attack and shit. Which now makes me think about it is that I just thought about something. You know what's the biggest aspect of Steven Universe that really makes it even more fucked up, to be honest, when you think about it?
What?
Is that Steven's mom, she no longer exists because she became a part of her son. So it's like with the gem, or not the gem, but the diamond thing. So like at this point, she's canonically a killed off character, like
Well,
canonically permanently killed off.
here's the trick part. Here's the part that is a head scratcher for me.
What?
And I think some people in the Steven
What?
Universe community know that there are instances that implied, right, never straight up
Uh huh.
confirmed, but implied that he can
Uh
still
huh.
communicate. Steven can still communicate with her mother, implying that
Oh crap! You see, actually, see that's another thing. On the T Tros page and the Fridge Horror page, I had to point out that actually that's not really his mom. That's just flashbacks. So that's technically not his mother. That's just the memory he's talking to, not his mother it's herself. So no, that's not it. That's just
okay.
that's just flashbacks.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that makes solve that mystery. But it's
Yeah.
but like I said, the problem with Steven Universe because it was just basically a crying fest for the most part. Not much of
Pretty much.
a continuation, but there is that one unanswered question that has always been the biggest mystery up until future, and future it becomes even a bigger mystery. In Steven Universe, it's been established when you go inside the pink gem, where there's like a hidden
Uh
world
huh.
where the lion lives and there's like a tree and stuff, there's a
Uh huh.
chest, right? Throughout the
Right.
series, we always see that chest in the background, right? We don't know what's inside
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. We have.
Nothing. It's a complete
Yeah.
mystery. But in Steven Universe Future, even though we don't see it because it's in the background, right? If you blink, you miss,
Right.
right? But when if you look at it, the chest is open. What the fuck happened?
Yeah.
It's like what was inside the chest?
I feel like Fridge Horror page will explain everything to us because I mean, to be honest, the more we look at the Fridge Horror page, not only does it come off with the horrifying implications, but it's also sad implications too. It's just like we read on the MLP Fridge Horror page, was just mostly just sadness, really and truly. If we're being totally honest, it's like, yeah, this is pretty much what sums it up.
Yeah.
It's one of those
Uh,
things where I'm like, yeah, let me go on that page right now and
uh,
just
yeah, you're.
check
But
that out.
there's another problem as well. It's been established in future that I think at least it should have. It's gotta be the main plot point for the sequel series. That
Mhm.
the main struggle of the series instead of like, for example, oh, another gem society, for example, is the main antagonist or something like that, right? If the I think this
Right.
time the sequel series, the main antagonist is Steven himself. The reason, the
Oh,
reason,
well, that
the
doesn't
reason,
help.
the reason I say that, right? This is just me speculating. Like, the reason I say that because in Steven Universe Future, it's been established that if he loses emotions or something happens that snaps, he turns into a giant monster, right?
Oh yeah, that happened at the end of Steven Future or Steven Universe Future.
Yeah. And only the other gems, and when I say gem, I'm including the diamonds, like blue diamond, yellow diamond, white diamond. So we need the powerhouses, so to stop Steven, right? So if something happens that Steven snaps, because the original concept art of the design compared what we got in Steven Universe Future, I think was way better. Este, este, it's a planet buster. It has the ability to
Right.
destroy the planet. So if something happens to Steven where he snaps and turns into a monster, and there's no giant diamonds trying to prevent it, Steven becomes the accidental antagonist of the series because of this situation. Este, Not only that, it's established because it's always been a long running question throughout the show. Why the fuck is the rest of the world not aware of the gems? Right? It looks like the whole gem
Right.
phenomena happens exclusively in the beach side where Steven lives, right?
Right.
Este, Now with Steven Universe Future, I think it's they hinted. I can't remember if it's confirmed or not, but I remember reading something. They established that the humans are gonna be like the more antagonists in the story because now they're more aware of the existence of the
Of the
gems.
gems, yeah, and the
So
and the diamonds.
so probably like some government agency, like some type of alien special unit, like in science fiction where you have like the secret sword, like like CIA style, like alien, you know, operation going on. Maybe the main antagonist in the series this time around, and because there's another problem. Steven, and
But
now because he's the representative of the big time, and he is by all accounts a noble in Gen society. He is
dude,
nobility. What?
dude, dude, look at this. Look at this. Look at what this Rich Horse says right here. Steven asked this question to Garnet and keeping it together. Garnet clarifies that as long as Ruby and Sapphire continue to love each other, she'll never truly go away. So if the fusion is powered by hate, like Lapis and with Jasper, that feeling will never go away. That's not good.
Yeah, that
That's not
yeah
good.
that is a problem.
Yeah,
Este,
there's a problem. Yeah.
like I said, like because Steven now it's been established that because of the Gem Society, he's a
Mm-hmm.
representative. He is nobility, right? He is straight out nobility. So worst case
Right.
scenario, I don't think they can actually do that because that will go to like a more like R rated territory, and Steven Universe,
Mm-hmm.
Rebecca Sugar wants to make a PG show, not because it doesn't want to explore that. It's just that's her like preference of writing, like within this range. It's
Right.
the
Right.
like if something happened to Steven, if the humans capture Steven, hurt Steven, or kill Steven. I don't know how you gotta kill Steven to be honest, but like, what.
Yeah, about that, because you just mentioned that. I was literally just right on here in the fridge horror page if I can find it. Where it just says that if Steven, oh wait, no, I'm getting really close to it. Where it says like with Steven, it's like apparently there's only two scenarios if he can't age. This means either one where the gems fail to protect him, which will devastate them on top of having to face Rose of their failure, or the second where they all die during a mission or trying to protect Steven and Rose regenerates surrounded by the Cypher dead loved one. So it's like apparently he can die. So
I mean, yeah, he can still die, but I mean, how the
some discuss some have discussed the possibility of Rose regenerating from her gem after Steven dies, but upon regenerating, she will immediately realize what this means. As all loving being and a mother, this will destroy her, pretty much.
Okay, so she comes back in almost antagonistic. Okay, let's talk about Pink Diamond for a sec because she is the main problem
Okay,
of the entire series. She is the
pretty
reason why
much,
everything got fucked up to begin with. You know,
pretty much.
like her suicide. Well, it is technically a suicide, but you can argue technically not because it's part of Steve, and if Steve dies, she may reject. It's complicated, but the death
It's
of
very
Rose.
complicated.
The death of Rose, right? Her relationship
Yeah,
with Greg. Her relationship with the other diamonds. Everything turned to shit because of her, right?
pretty
And
much, pretty
and
much.
and it was basically out of selfishness, and she just masquerade as like a noble thing, and she caused a galactic sized war that caused so many damages that universally damaged the psychology of the major diamond queens, right? Are they queens, right? Is it Mark? I can't remember. It's the major one,
I'm not sure,
yellow, blue, and white
but yeah,
diamond. you know
right.
yes, like not only Pearl's PTSD, basically the Steven's entire upbringing, his entire existence, is like as a human gen hybrid, which is unheard of, right? Nobody knows how to react to this. They don't know how they can respond if something happens to him because he is the first of this scenario, right? There's never been a human gen diamond, right? If the
Right.
It will make it even more complicated if in the sequel series, for whatever reason, it turns out that if the Steven and if the forgot her name right now, god damn it. If the main love interest of Steven, I forgot her name.
The Indian girl.
Yes. You know who I'm talking about. Like if
Yeah,
the
I know
like
you're talking about
if
Connie.
Connie, there you go, thank you. If the
Yeah.
if Connie and Steven have a child, if the would the baby be fully human or it's gonna be like 1/3 gem?
I mean, then again, like, isn't Steven half human, half Jin himself? So I feel
Yeah,
like the baby would just follow the same logic. So
but
I
like I
mean,
said, his birth is like very unusual, right? Because gems
Yeah, it is. It is
gems
unusual.
yeah, because gems can reproduce sexually. They cannot, right? So Rose Gem, she
Right.
had to do some convoluted process in order for Steven to exist, right?
Right.
So
Right.
it's like for Steven, if he ever has a child of his own, it will get even more confusing for the gem because okay, you have a child in a way that humans supposed to do, but how is it gonna be the end result? It's gonna be fully human. It's gonna be 1/3 gem. Like what? How the hell is this gonna work? you know,
Right.
it's gonna be very confusing when if they ever bother to explore it. I doubt, to be honest, I doubt they're ever gonna
I doubt
explore.
it too.
But
Yeah.
it is a question that because Steven's gonna age. I mean, technically speaking, he is immortal because he can change his age whatever he feels like, right?
But see, the problem with that is, but the problem with that is like depending on Steven's mood, he'll age. Like if he's depressed, he'll look like an old man, or if if he's feeling good, he'll feel young. So it's like if he start feeling like, let's say he has severe depression, yeah, then he'll just die at that point, and it will be permanent. Sadly,
Yeah, that's another thing. His mental health. Like he has to be in
that
a
plays a role.
yeah, he has to be
Yeah,
constantly he has to be constantly in a certain mental state to prevent to accidentally end himself. And I don't mean by suicide. I mean like
he'll just
accidentally.
die.
Yeah, like that is the
Like he'll
fucked up.
literally just turn to ashes because his body will just decline. Like how a person's body declined, and he'll just get old and just decline like that. So that's what will happen.
Yeah, that is another thing that has to be acknowledged, right? The Steven's life it sucks. Like let's be honest, it sucks.
I know.
And it doesn't help that you have PTSD. You're still a teenager by the end of future. Este, and now you're a nobility in the gem society, and you're basically in charge of the gem society. Like you are doing so like reforms and everything, right?
Right.
Not only you have enemies still who knows where you live, although technically speaking, in the end of future he left the area to go somewhere else. But eventually in the sequel series, if he ever comes back to the original setting, right, that will still be a problem.
Right.
you know,
Oh, definitely.
and I think another problem that has to be acknowledged is like how the humans gonna react to this outside of the beach city. Like
Pretty
now
much.
now they know aliens exist. Well, to be more specific, gems if they
Right.
are a thing. Some of them have been living on Earth for decades, and
More like
some of
centuries.
well, technically they live century, but they haven't lived on Earth, that long compared to
Okay.
their home.
Yeah.
Because Pearl, if I'm not mistaken, Pearl is like 5,000 years old. She is as old as Mesopotamia. you know?
Damn. That's another thing too. That's another thing too with the gyms that, by technicality, they're actually old ass people. It's just that they have a very youthful looking body. That's all. Like by
Yeah.
technicality, they old as hell.
I mean,
It's
technically
one of
every
the things where it's like, yeah.
yeah, but
Like by technicality, yeah.
the but that's the problem because like Steven, oh yeah, there had to be at least the government, I assume, right? Not the random civilian, but like at least the government has to be aware that Steven is not pure human, that he's a hybrid.
Yeah, he's a hybrid.
So it will make it even difficult to interact with other people outside of Beach City, because at least in people Beach City,
Pretty much.
they know about the gems for decades now. That like it's like almost two and a half generations of interacting with
Oh
gems.
damn, dude.
What?
Dude, like it says right here, like it says right here, if Rose Core is killed off for real, the process of forming Steven effectively erased Rose from existence, changed her mind. Even shows that even that when Steven is separated from his gemstone, it forms into a holographic duplicate of Steven, not Rose Quartz. So she, like I said, she's gone for real, like gone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
There's that.
yeah, yeah,
So there's that. I'm not looking at your screen, by the way, so it's like I'm just here rambling.
Okay,
But
okay,
like,
okay, okay.
este, like I said, also fix all the problems of Steven's mom's that cause, you know. uh, and what's even worse, I think, Craig, he even acknowledged at the one point that Steven is more like her mother personality, right? That he dares to admit,
Oh yeah,
so which
right.
I don't know if that's even good or bad, given the end result what happened to Rose, right? If Steve of if Greg compares Steve to her mother when it comes to personality, how bad they can truly get if Steve goes to the same route, as
Right.
as her mother. So it's like the only good side because he was raised by Craig. That's the only thing that prevents him because he had an upbringing with a very different foundation. So it's like that's the only thing that
Right.
prevents him. It's the and like another thing that has to be acknowledged or how do I say this? Este like how do I explain this properly? Steven is like now because he can heal
What?
broken gems and corrupted
Uh huh.
gems, which is basically the gem equivalent of Jesus miracles. It's
The holy grail of medicine. But see, but that's
like
another problem too. Wait, now that you mention that, that's another problem too. Because like even another person pointed out, it's like, where's the dramatization if Steven can just heal everything? Actually, now the fuck did you mention that? Even the movie with what's her name? I forget the name of the main villain.
yeah,
Even that too, he does something equivalent to that of like, oh, Steven just gets a new power and fixes everything. It's like that's another problem. Like, there's no dramatization if you know for a fact, like, okay, if he fuck up, he's done for, or if they fuck up, it's over. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no dramatization if you always know everything's gonna be okay. Hell, even that's what happens to one of the dudes that he would talk to, one of the other human guys. I forget his name, Lars or whatever his name was. It's
yeah,
like even with that, it's like they kill him off just to heal him with that gem stuff, and now he's like got part of that DNA in him, and it's like, well, then what's the point if no characters actually? I mean, okay, that's what I find pretty freaking weird in Steven Universe. Like the only character that's canonically been killed off so far, at least from what I know of, is his mother, but everybody else. They're still in the picture, so it's like, okay, well, that's kind of weird. You kill off one character, but everybody else, you're just gonna leave them be. It's like that's kind of weird decision. I don't know if that was on purpose, but that's just kind of strange to me. Like, oh yeah, the one character you kill off his own mom, but everybody else, oh yeah, they get healed. Oh, they get this, they get that. Okay, why you make an exception only for the mother? That's kind of strange. To the point where even when he takes out the gem, the only thing that comes out is a duplicate of him, not even his mom. So she's gone for good, like I said. And then it's like, well, this is weird. So what's the point of this now? It's like that's just so weird in so many levels. And
yeah.
then on top of that, and then on top of that, with Steven's powers of like being healing and whatnot, it's like, well, then again, again, like you said, this is like the equivalent of like doing a holy grail of like Jesus Christ or something. And then you have Steven just basically he can do anything. So then where's the dramatization or any kind of tension if you just know that Steven can just magically make shit work out? You know what I'm saying? Like, where's the dramatization? You see what
That
kills the tension?
yeah,
Like,
that is the one critique of Steven Universe, especially in Future, because again, most of the critique comes from Future because the regular show, the critique is very consistent.
right,
The suicidal pacifism and
right.
the filler elements of the show that if remove and expand more of the main plot, they could have expand and fix the plot holes and stuff. Because the finale of season 5, yeah, season 5, that it was rushed, right? Like
Pretty
basically
much.
they had
Pretty
to like
much.
they basically had to speed run that shit, right? If the one
Right.
future, which is supposed to be like more like established in the sense that it's like okay, loose ends. This is after the story, so to speak, right? If the like trying to tie this up, but there's still a bunch of problems to be had because now we know we're gonna have a sequel series eventually, right? What is gonna be the conflict? It doesn't have to be like like Dragon Ball, like hand to hand combat all the time, but like if
Right.
the
Right.
it doesn't have to be like that. But like now we know Steven
Right.
is basically, I hate to say this because it sounds horrendous on the internet. Gem Jesus, este, who can who can heal
Well,
the broken and the broken
or
and
Birdie
corrupt gems.
or Birdie Diamond Jesus, because he's actually a diamond, not a gem, since his mom was Pink Diamond.
Okay, fair enough. But like
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
the it still doesn't help. If the
No, it doesn't.
But yeah, so I assume the next story, if we're gonna trying to make sense of this, right? Because
Uh
all the
huh.
information we know about the sequel, that it exists and they're working on it. That's about it. We're just pure speculation on our part on this part. Este, I just assume that the main antagonist, instead of the gems, I mean, I assume there's gonna still be like some gem because there are some gems that still hate Steven, right? But like,
Right.
but I think the main antagonist this time around is gonna be the humans instead of the gens, because all
Right.
our focus were the gens. We learn about the society, we know about their caste system, we know about the roles of each gem, how they work, how they live, how they die, how they create. It's been completely well established how it works, right? If the I know
Right.
there are still some unanswered questions about the unknown gems because there's been multiple gems that has no classification, so nobody knows what the fuck are these ones, right? So we can explore that.
Right.
Este, but like, for the most part, I see this as an exploration for the human side of things. I think that's how I see it. How it's gonna go. Este, that's all. That's another problem. If we're going to
What?
explore Steven as a young adult, right?
Right.
If we're going to do this,
At least.
he's kind of screwed from the start. You know, you
Oh
know,
crap.
you know why I say that?
Oh no,
Este,
I don't. Oh,
like,
because basically,
gone.
like, no, I was gonna say like basically because like now because of how society like looks at him, and now that he's an adult and the way he's gonna be around people, that's why
Yeah.
he's so screwed from the start now.
Not only that,
Yeah.
even let's say he doesn't have that particular problem when it comes to interacting with other people, right? Let's say
Right.
for whatever reason he doesn't suffer this problem. He doesn't have an education.
Oh crap. That's one problem.
Remember, Greg never took him to school,
No, he did not.
so
And he was never homeschooled, so that's another problem. Yeah.
yeah, so he doesn't have a GAD or high school, nothing. So if he decide
Nothing.
if I'm going to live in Beach City, I assume in order to fix this problem, he's just away for like a vacation and then comes back, then that fixed the problem. But if he's going away for Beach City to live outside for some time, it's gonna end up bad because he doesn't have any education. He can't get a job.
Nope.
Uh, uh, you know,
No, he cannot.
he, worst case scenario, fucking homeless. It's like
I mean, okay. Listen. I think his best shot is like making his own like little company or something like that. You know, like if he can manage. But as far as like going applying for a job, no, that's out of the question because he don't have no credentials for that. He sure as hell doesn't have anything where he can like make that work. You know,
yeah,
so it's like at this point, his safe bet is like if he was like to run a business or something, like like running his own business of some sort, like maybe I don't know, a lemonade stand, or maybe like he's in charge of something. Because as far as that goes, his options are very limited. What else can he do outside of that town he's in once he leaves? Like you said, he'll just be homeless,
yeah.
and then
I think
oh
the
crap, that's not
unless
good.
unless he does like a Superman side job, it's like I'm a superhero and like that's how he gets his money, or works at construction because his gem powers, he can make a force field himself if something falls off him or
That's
something.
true.
Like,
That's true.
if he gotta use his common sense, you can argue, well, that's one way to do it, right? But
I
like,
mean, I mean, Steven is naive, but I think he can catch on to that too. Especially if it's a job lifting heavy stuff, he could do that too.
He can do that.
Honestly,
He is super strong. It's like he is
yeah, as I'm saying,
ridiculously.
like he can do that. He
Yeah,
can lift stuff or do some make constructs out of his gems abilities. So yeah, he can. That like, there's things he can do. It's just I think what would have to work is like if he can convince them enough, then they'll say, okay, you're hired. Like instead of just a traditional job interview, it's like, okay, you're hired. Like okay, I see you can lift heavy shit that other people that would take 10 people to lift. So okay, you can do this. But as far as applying for a job, no, you might as well just try to convince them by showing what you can actually do, like out there. And then just as long
yeah,
as you keep it cool, then I think he'll manage. It's just that's the only thing.
yeah. Basically, it's
If
like
not, then he might as well. If not, then he might as well be a content creator where he does shit with his gym powers or something like that. So that he can make money that way too. At least there's options. TikTok, something. At least their equivalent of TikTok. It's like something like that.
yeah,
YouTube. You know, like I said, at least there's those options. I'm just saying. But yeah, as an adult, he's gonna just almost be kind of like how his dad. 'Cause his dad lives in his van because his dad's music career didn't pick up, and I hate to go this route, but like even teachers point out that his dad's kind of a loser, just not in a traditional way, but it's just he ain't got shit going for him, really and truly.
yeah,
And not to mention, even is like, you know, he could make things, pan out in some kind of way, but yeah, like as an adult, actually, I think about if if they're gonna bring the show back, then what will he be doing as an adult then? If it's gonna be like that, like his role, and now concerning that, I forget the time gap it is from Steven Universe Future, so
well, yeah. I
like what
mean,
he's gonna be doing.
I
Yeah.
don't know what's gonna be the time gap between the sequel series and Future because in Future, he is still technically a
Uh huh.
teenager. Like technically, he's like 16,
Right.
17, give or take, right? Este, so probably like I assume if he's leaving Beach City as a vacation and comes back shortly after, then most of the site is gonna be in Beach City. So because he's already familiar with that, he can figure it out by himself. Like we don't need to speculate too much for him, right? Este,
Right.
but assuming that he stays outside for whatever reason, este, it's gonna be a little difficult to really think about what he's gonna do with this. Like again, he has no education, and yeah, he has the gem powers. But like I said, if the humans are not aware of this,
Right.
they gotta freak the fuck out, or the government is
Pretty much.
gotta be behind this. Like, and another thing, like I mentioned earlier, he's a nobility. He's one of the diamonds. So if the government dares to harm him,
Right.
who's to say the other diamond won't use military retaliation? It's like-
Isn't that a fridge horror? Because basically, if they try to do something to Steven, then Diamond is going to come in and do some work to them. And knowing how powerful the diamonds are, that's not going to look good for them on their part.
yeah, and also I think
Especially like,
if
no, I was
the
gonna say like I forget the name of all the diamonds, but it's just like I could just imagine like, shit, what's her name? Aside from White Diamond, of course, and then the other diamonds, it's like, yeah, they're gonna definitely just, trample the government and everything. So,
yeah, pretty much. And remember the diamonds, you know, by pure military might, right? If
hmm
uh, they're above humans in all regards. They can just easily destroy humanity. Hell, the water gems,
they can commit omnicide.
yeah,
Yeah, they can commit omnicide.
the water gems, their purpose is to terraform the planet. So
Right.
they alone can just destroy the planet. If they
Pretty much.
have the opportunity, right?
Right.
But another thing is that it could be possible that Pink Diamond, because of her personality,
Mm.
right? Este,
Right.
if I'm not mistaken, wasn't there a part in the future where there's like a pink white diamond, where technically speaking, that's not the actual white diamond, it's like a puppet.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think there's hints that she is the next antagonist. Like she doesn't do anything bad, but in the same time, you're also like very suspicious of this one. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's like something's off with this one. It's like oh man, this white diamond is acting weird. Then you realize, wait, that's not white diamond. It's like who the fuck are you?
Right.
It's like
Right.
it's like And like I said, like you can also argue that Steven may have to spend more time in the Gem Society, which for me that would be a good thing
Yeah.
because we can learn more about Gem Society because we only actually start seeing the home planet in the basically in the end, right? That we always hear
Right.
about it, but we're not actually been on the planet itself, right? Este,
Right.
so that's one thing they had to explore, and also now I remember one thing because of the fucking caste system,
What?
right? Because they have a caste system, right?
Right.
Are they going to abolish it?
Good question. Hey, dude, want to check out my screen right now? Because I had to click on that video about what I was telling you about with Steven Universe.
Okay, but make sure it doesn't give me any copyright strikes in the process.
I don't think it will, but I mean, we can try to see. You see my screen?
I see your screen, but on my screen, I'm not gonna put it just in case.
Okay. Mm, you see what I'm saying? You're,
I
you
think
see it?
Amethyst and Greg friends with benefits. They like I don't know. It's like I can kind of
Yeah,
understand. I can kind of
but
understand,
her
but like
reaction though,
yeah.
her reaction though, like no, but the way she was acting, because like one person even put a quote like talking about that she can be whatever he wants her to be, or talking about like she acts like a ex girlfriend. I'm like, well, that does kind of imply something. And then see what else would they be doing after so for days, just watching some damn tapes? I mean, come on, dude.
I mean, this is
They
Steven
clearly doing
Universe.
more than watching some damn tapes.
Everyone, this is Steven Universe. This is the same show where Peritot watched the same pilot episode for like multiple days straight, and then he found out wait, there's more episodes. It's like so it's like that's not off the table. And also, I think
Yeah,
they
but
have
see, but the only problem, but the only problem with that example is that with the way they were acting towards each other, like they clearly been doing some more shit. Like, because why else would she turn to Rose of all people? And
the
then he didn't want to see that shit again. It's like, you see what I'm saying? Like that's kind of
okay.
implying something right there.
Okay, that's the only dialogue where you can argue something's weird because he said, "I don't want to see that again." Uh, well, no, he said, "I don't want to turn to her again." So implying this happened before, right?
I bet you'd
Este,
stay for her. Oh shit! Yeah, but okay. Well, how do you explain that dialogue? Because this is directly from that episode. I bet you'd stay for her. Why Amethyst really sounded like a Jade ex girlfriend. She do sound like a Jade ex girlfriend.
okay, fair enough. But like again, I'm a little,
Yeah, that's that.
I'm kind of a little skeptical. Like it's not out of the
I
possibility.
mean,
It's like it's not the
I
other
mean, I
possibility.
understand your skepticism. Understand your skepticism, but again, dude, think about it. They've been there for days, according to them, and judged by the reaction, talking about they better not be doing that again. What do you mean? What again? It's just like, what do you mean to be not be doing it again? What are you implying? Like, okay, there's some hints, dude. I'm looking at some clues here, and I'm starting to think that there's some going on between Greg and Amethyst, and something they've been doing back in the day, even when he was with what's her name, Rose. So the way I've interpreted this particular episode was that Greg and Amethyst really bonded after Rose sacrificed herself to bring Steven into existence and their grief. Amethyst back then learned and interacted with the world by entertaining when she saw how Rose interacted with Greg. That one day she took it way too far and transformed into Rose's likeness, which understandably freaked Greg out and essentially tore open the emotional wounds that happen when one spouse dies. However, Amethyst to this day still doesn't completely understand why Greg flipped out and simply wants her buddy back. I mean, you could look at it that way, but I mean, I don't know. There's some implications here.
Yeah,
Like you can look at it that way, but I don't know. Like it's kind of hard to really think about the best way to look at this because it almost does sound like talking about they may not be doing it again. Doing what again exactly?
I mean,
Like okay, that's strange. I would say that's kind of like a hint or something. Like okay, see, and that's another thing too. Like I keep saying, why would Amethyst say something like this? I can be whatever you want me to be. Why would she say if they were just friends? Why would you say something like that? That don't sound like something you would just say to someone you're just friends with. like,
yeah,
like what the hell?
like
Okay,
I,
another person put the same shit.
uh,
I'm just saying, like, wait,
I get
wait,
it.
hey man, it's cool. I've seen your junk before. What the fuck?
I
Quote
like.
unquote.
I mean, there's that. Like, I can't really give too much commentary on that part. I'm sorry
I mean,
because
what can you say? Well, what can you? Okay, well, okay. In your skepticism, what can you say in defense to that? Then, what can you say in defense to those types of comments?
not much. It's just weird.
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Like, you can't really say much in that defense. Then, so.
Yeah. Este, I think. Well, that's another thing. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait, what person talking about? Even as a kid, I kind of knew it was more than just a TV show. But as an adult, I now see how messed up it truly is. Greg lost his wife, and this lost motherly figure. Yeah, I can see it. That's really fucking. When you put it that way, it really is.
Pretty much. I think another
Wait,
part.
wait, wait a minute.
What?
Wait, one person saying pretty sure Amethyst was transforming into Rose in order to have relations. Grief does funny things. Yeah, like I said, I'm starting to feel like maybe there is something going on here. It's just that it's not explored like it was in that episode called Maximum Capacity.
Yeah, but probably. And not only that, because it's been established in multiple
What?
series where relationships in among gems are very toxic, especially
Mm-hmm.
especially in their intercase relationships. Like oh, you're a pearl and this is a water gem or something like that. At in the gem society. Like for example, do you remember Cactus?
Yeah, I remember that. It's been a while though, but I remember.
The like Cactus was pretty obsessed to having its own pearl. You know, and there is
Mm-hmm.
allegories of the relationship between Pink Diamond and Pearl because pearls are basically property. They're basically automatons
Mm-hmm.
with no agency.
Pretty much.
So it's like there's that, and also like at the again with the cat society and Steven Universe pretty fucked up because you have basically entire gems where the entire purpose is literally like, oh, what are you? Oh, I am the general of this multi empire. Oh, and what about you? I'm a door. Excuse me, what? It's like,
Wait, what?
you know what I'm saying? It's like that's it. Yeah, it's the it's the they're basically just useless servants. Like these low ranking
mm-hmm.
basically property for the lack of better terms, right? Like there's no way to put it. You know, it's the hell even the water gems. Oh, I forgot about something. Oh shit! Now because we're
What?
making the
What?
Steven Universe video, please talk about
What?
the full potential Lapis and the summoner lenses.
Oh crap. Oh crap! You know what? I think it's better if I just show it. I think it's just better if I just show the example myself because me explaining it won't be enough. This is why I'm going to this right now with the whole water gym stuff. Okay,
Yeah,
I already showing it. I'm already showing it. I'm already showing it. Like with this review, some lessons the phenomenon where small bowls and before we get to deeper, I might as well just explain because I might as well get to this first because they did do a movie this but didn't do well. They did one with a character with that power from Netflix and that didn't really pan out like I should have.
yeah,
Small bubbles in a liquid emit flashes of light when subjected to sound waves. It's a type of acoustic cavitation where bubbles are created collapse under influence of sound. These collapsing bubbles generated color high temperatures and pressures, leading to the emission of light, according to a video. And the temperatures and pressures. The collapse of these bubbles extremely rapid, leading to extremely high temperatures up to 20,000 K. And that's kelvins, by the way, and pressures thousands of bar within the bubble. Light emission. These conditions can ionize the gas inside the bubble, causing it to emit flashes of light. Explained in the video. Single bubble zone lessons. A single bubble is trapped inside a sound field, undergoes repeated expansion and collapse, emitting a pulse of light with each collapse. Multi-bubble zone lessons. Multi-bubbles collapse simultaneously, with each bubble typically emitting weaker light due to interactions with neighboring bubbles. Well, again, and that's another thing too, because I kind of figured, I even explained this to you, where I kind of like figured out the mechanism, because right there they're talking about while the exact mechanism is still being researched. It's believed that at high temperatures and pressures from the bubbles collapse either directly ionize the gas or cause remit radiation when it returns to normal state. And like I told you before, because the water has hydrogen atoms and the sun has hydrogen atoms, like let me get to the hydrogen atom stuff. Like because the sun has hydrogen atoms. And wait, hold on. Like right there, you see, like, okay, maybe just make that image a lot bigger. Okay, I feel like this one will fit better. Like, damn it, if this stupid image. Okay, there we go. You can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get this damn image bigger.
Yeah. On my end, stream, people should see your.
Like this is a hydrogen atom. That small one outside of it, damn, this looks like a planet in the moon with it. But no, but the one with the outer shell, that's a negatively charged electron, and in the middle is a positively charged proton. And then my thing is that because the sun is hydrogen atoms, that's why it produces this similar effect like a miniature sun. Is that when they collapse each other, that's why it creates ionized like energy and stuff with the gases, especially when it's exposed to gases, because those gases do have atoms in it too. And then that's why it produces that light. It's just basically two hydrogen atoms collapsing against each other. That's all. Two neutrally charged particles collapse against each other, and that's what produces that light. And even I explained it to you, and even you were like, that does sound like that could be the case, because again, the water, I mean, like even right there, like I can even find it where it talks about hydrogen atoms with the sun. Like it even says right there, like the sun's mass. Oh, see, the sun is primarily composed of hydrogen, about 70% by mass. You see, there you go, 70% by mass. And like I said, that would explain why the solar lessons produces that light, because it's just two hydrogen atoms collapsing against each other, two neutrally charged particles, and then it produces temperatures like that of the sun, because it's the same thing that's related to the product of the sun. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So then that's why it does that. You see, I wish I knew a science website where I can like put that in there, and then they would probably be like, okay, that does sound like that adds up. Because I remember some other like reviews, like some guys are trying to come up with their own little theory. But one thing I hate about a lot of these other guys is that they don't really try to understand it fully. Because I noticed that they mainly focus on the sound aspect. They don't focus on too much on the water aspect as much like they should have. And like I said, one thing you have to understand is that what's in the water that causes that shit to happen, And again, when you think about it, when you realize that, because it's like they forget that water does have hydrogen atoms, and then it's just like, oh, this is just liquid. But when liquid does have hydrogen atoms in it, and then that's why it produces ionized particles, because that's a part of the same thing, Like I said, what the solar essence is doing is related to the sun's particles. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's like that's what's going on there. Yeah, that's what's going on there. So that's why it produces that. Now, I already figured that out, but weirdly enough, I haven't so far, in the most part, seen any other guys or any other scientists come to that conclusion. But like I said, it's like, and that's why, yeah. But that's why okay, long story short, that's why when you add gases to it, that's why it adds more shit to it. Because, like, for example, krypton gas, and I'm not talking about the planet, or xenon, or shit, I can't think of any other gases, but you get the idea. Or argon. Like those, when you put that together, then that's what's going to make it even stronger. So that's why I produced that. And now back to the lapis lazuli stuff, or the water gems, is that now if you apply that power set, if we apply that power set to the water gems, they will be OP, because the temperatures reach 20,000 kelvins. So just imagine if these guys right here develop that shit. See, here they are, control the water. And that's another thing too, I just think about, because since they can control the water of their mind, right?
Yeah.
All they'd have to do is crush the hydrogen atoms. There you go. Now you get sound lessons. They don't even need to use sound, because they're literally controlling the hydrogen atoms to collapse against each other. Now they can control it. Now they can basically use that energy to blast it. And again, just imagine if this actually happened when they were under the slavery of White Diamond, and then that rebellion would be like the biggest rebellion ever. It's like now they can beat the diamonds. They can literally overpower the diamonds. They can literally, destroy it with that light. They can, since their temperatures reach 28,000 kelvins, they can melt them with that shit. So it's like, just imagine how OP they would be in that setting. They're actually even more powerful than the diamonds, if I'm being totally honest.
Yeah, because
If you really think about it.
when you no, when you think about it, because like the diamonds, I think that they established. I might be wrong, but I think they established that because they don't have biological bodies, they have
Uh
practically
huh.
almost unlimited stamina, right? So
Oh crap.
they could just fucking spam. The summon the list is like a fucking nuke. Just keep
Oh
spamming.
shit. And that doesn't even help. That doesn't even help. Great. Now these guys, all you have to do is just make that giant. Then the diamonds are gonna be melted like cheese. Hell, even worse than cheese.
The most unexpected,
Like, damn.
unexpected like revolution in gem history. You're like, oh, you're just water
Mm,
gems. You're like the lower scale. Why am I melting? It's like, like you know,
That's gonna be so fucking confusing. It's like, wait a minute, you're a water jet. You should be able to create light. That doesn't make sense. It don't make sense because you never seen this phenomenon before. That's
but
why it don't make sense to you.
you know what's even
Like someone
crazy?
never discovered electricity.
You know what's even crazy? I told you this before, but for people watching this video,
What?
like, hear me
What?
out. Hear me out,
What is
and
it?
it's gonna sound crazy
Oh no.
because of
Okay, let's hear it.
this hypothetical
Let's hear it.
Lapis Lazuli, right? With her
Right.
summoner lesson powers, right?
Right.
She can survive in the setting of Warhammer 40k.
Oh boy. Okay, if we're gonna have to let people digest that for a second, because that's
I
just
I
gonna
want
be the craziest thing you've ever said on here.
I know. Thank goodness I barely have subscribers because people will lose their shit.
Mm,
And
mm.
like think about it. If you have
Oh no.
if you're a gem, right, who can produce summoner essence
Oh no.
because of your unique physiology, which basically barely have biological, organs. Your stamina is basically almost unlimited, right? Right? You can just use
Right.
that ability. The only setting where you can survive and still offer a fucking challenge if you're like one of those like versus like power scaling community is the and it's fucking Warhammer 40k.
Right.
Like what other setting I can think of where like she can just thrive in fucking fighting chaos. I know that it's the most ridiculous shit you ever hear in your life, but like it actually kind of makes sense when you think about the
I know.
implications
I know
of this
because
ability.
because yeah, because okay, I might as well just go on to the whole bubble thing. Because okay, you know what? I might as well go back to the bubble stuff. Because I mean, because otherwise, then I don't want them to just take your fake word at face value and just be like, okay, you're just speaking nonsense. Otherwise, then that's not gonna help nothing. It's like, let's see, where's that thing about the bubble and its mechanisms? Okay, there was this one thing that said it had plasma. Let me just try to see if I can find it. Because gas bubble photonics. Okay, there it is. Okay, okay, this is kind of helping me. I've never used this one before, but it's kind of helping me. Yeah, because I mean that's the thing. Oh shit, skin and bones. Okay, that's scary. Um,
There you go.
shit, where is it? Because it's such a. Oh shit, wait, is that down here? No, that's not it. That's not it. I thought that was down there. Reignite. They've done so many damn examples. Okay, bubble, 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 bubble. Internally condensed plasma. Oh shit! Inertially confined plasma in a floating bubble. Well, what do you know? And
And
see, that's another scary thing too.
it's hotter
When the
than the
bubble
sun.
collapses, yeah, it's hotter than the sun, guys. We're not making that up. You see, it even says right here, plasma formation. The high temperatures and pressures within the collapsing bowl are so intense that they can ionize the gas within the bowl, meaning they strip electrons from atoms, creating plasma. And I just said, like I just said about the negative electron, negatively positive, negatively charged electron, and the positively charged proton. Like I said, they collapse against each other, and then that's what creates these ionized particles because it's just hydrogen atoms collapsing against each other. And this is what basically goes with that. At least I'm helping a little bit, so people don't just think that it's just total nonsense. They strip electrons from atoms, creating plasma. This plasma is a state of matter where particles are so energetic that they can move freely. Oh shit, and they can move freely. Yeah, at that point, the water gems are pretty overpowered if you're going to go by this information, or
I
at least
know.
go by this part where we're not as well known with what they can actually do.
And what's
Plasma extremes, same for the gas bubble.
really
Yeah,
crazy about it when you really think about almost every character in fiction. Well, of course there's gonna be some judges, but at least the ones that are like powerful enough to do it. If they water-based
Right.
characters who get if they're powerful enough or figured out how to do summoner lessons, almost by default, they're basically the strongest characters in their settings, regardless the setting we're talking about. If it's Steven Universe, it is fucking Avatar: The Last Airbender with Katara, or the Water Tribe. If fucking if the okay, we can say that for another video. But like if the all these all like
Pretty
basically
much.
almost every water-based character, the moment they figure out some of the lessons, and if their body is capable of producing like multiple of these, yeah, it's like yeah, they're fucking OP as fuck. Like, who would expect that
I
water would be
mean,
this OP?
yeah, because like I know some people gonna be looking at this and be like, "What the fuck are you? What the fuck are we talking about?" But the truth is, that's just it about about the water bola. That's just about the bubbles when they transform. Is that once they turn into that, because it's for picosecond, of course. The moment they're in that light form, then they're essentially like a sun. Because like I already mentioned before earlier, with the sun, it's like sun. The sun has hydrodynamics. You saw right there, even said that, and I can show it again just in case people think that okay, I just made that shit up, which I didn't.
No,
Where it says
picoseconds
about the
right there.
hydrogen atoms in the sun. No, I'm talking about the hydrogens in the sun. Like I just said, the hydrogens in the sun is composed of hydrogens by mass. Approximately 73% of the sun is
Yeah,
hydrogen atoms. So basically,
it's basically
when you think about it,
a fucking massive nuclear fusion
yeah,
power source. That's basically what it is. It's
yeah,
the
because like I said, then when the hydrogen atoms collapse against each other because of sound waves, then that's what produces that energy that's similar to the sun. Like it's not exactly a sun, but it's related to it because like I said, it's composed of two hydrogen atoms that are neutrally charged particles, one negatively charged electron in the outer part of it, and then a positively charged proton in the center of it. And then when they collapse, then that's what produces that light. And then for a minute there, it's like a miniature sun. That's why it does that shit. And then since they're basically, I guess you can say they're controlling a miniature sun. That's kind of the reason why they're pretty OP because it's got plasma in it,
yeah, that
and
is true.
then that plasma, yeah, and then the fact that they're controlling water and then they're controlling it that state, then they can keep in that light state and then do what they want with it. You see, like that's what makes their ability so damn OP. Like you said, it's like basically anybody throwing fire or whatever, and that's another problem because electricity also goes along with that. But then again, it's hydrogen atoms that create ionized gas, ionization. And then the gases also do that along with the water itself. So like anybody throwing shit at it, then that's just going to basically become a part of it. And then that's why they're so damn OP. And I know that this whole water thing is like confusing because solar essence and the way it functions isn't exactly well known knowledge. But again, this is exactly how that shit will turn out because, like I said, the solar essence, like for example, if I can find another good example of that with solar essence, okay, I put the wrong shit,
Not
but
not Sunlight Prime, different type of blue.
no, no, not that kind of blue. Definitely that kind of blue. No, I'm trying to think of another example of like some lessons, like with it being like a miniature sun because it's got 20,000 kelvins. I know that sounds ridiculous, but then again, it's like we don't fully like. I know some people are gonna be like, okay, that don't make sense because then it should be high as fuck. But the truth is, we don't really understand the entire nature of how things work completely. There was even one point in the time where I remember they thought electromagnetism and magnetism were the same thing, and finally found out they were. So like there's some things we don't fully understand that we
Yeah,
think that we understand because it's much bigger than we think it is. So
but
then we think, oh, that don't make sense because we can't do that, or
well,
oh, we can't do that because
that's the
we're so
beauty of
used to this usual
the
function.
that is the beauty of science. It is a self-correcting system. That and like I mean,
Right.
not that long ago, for the past 50 years, people thought that the universe, like I'm going to like more advanced physics territory, but like people for the longest time, people thought the universe was based on the philosophical foundation of local realism, which was established by Albert Einstein, right? Because of quantum mechanics. But it turns out that John
Right.
Stuart Bell, who made Bell's theorem, right, refute that claim. They say no, the universe is non-local. So, for example, Einstein responded to some. Well, he died before John Bell, but was even born. But like the whole
Well,
point,
yeah.
the whole point, the comic critique Einstein have about anything that's against local realism was, so you telling me if I look away at the moon is not there anymore? It's but it turns out that the universe is fundamentally non-local, and everything is quantum in nature, not a separation between classical and quantum that Einstein believed at the time. Right, there was a clear separation of
Right.
two different worlds. Now we know everything is a single quantum world, but it's not local, so it's not unified as we originally thought about. That was won
Right.
a Nobel Prize like barely 3 years ago. Yeah, also. something as abstract as that. So imagine the smaller details, like someone that's which is just trying to make a bubble in your house. Please don't do that. You may lose a finger. But like, so
A star in a jar. That's all it is. A star in a jar. I mean, it does look like a star. I even have that as like my. Okay, let me go to the mechanism. It's on the lessons bubble because I mean, at least he put some info here that I remember where he kept thinking that oh, bubbly interior. Like for example, so for example, here we go again. One of the greatest obstacles to solar lessons retread has been trying to obtain, and I've already seen it. Like the temperature. Some of the developed theories or whatever. The resultant program is for the peak temperature around 600K, 20,000K. What the hell common is the interior of the bubble heats up and becomes at least as hot as the measured for the or the multi-somnolescence bubble. Water vapor is the main temperature limiting factor, and the average temperature over the bubble does not rise higher than 10,000K, which is kelvins. The bubble remains spherical. The bubble contents obey the ideal gas law. The internal pressure remains uniform throughout the bubble. No evaporation or condensation occurs inside the bubble, like I was saying. The fifth assumption, this is the old, some of this is a little bit old, but they still kind of apply. Each formulation pretends the thermodynamic behavior of the liquid surrounding bubble. These assumptions severely limit the models when they pulsate at large velocity speed of sound. And then there's just some equations of like basically what they've performed with that. And the bubble surface, the surface of the collapsing bubble is seen with both the single solid bubble and the multi-solid bubble, but it bounds between liquid and vapor phase of solution. The multi-solid bubble has been observed in many different solutions under varied conditions. Unfortunately, it's more difficult to study as the bubble cloud is uneven. Okay, this is a lot of old things, so I'm going to cut it much more shorter.
we just
So single solid bubble is easy to study due to predictable nature. This bubble sustains a standing acoustic wave of moderate pressure, approximately 1.5. I don't know that word. Since cavitation does not normally occur at these pressures, the bubble may see through several techniques: transient boiling through short current pulse and nichrome wire. Small jet of water perturbs the surface, introduce the bubbles, air bubbles. A rapidly formed vapor cavity via focused laser pulse, and then the collapsing bubble.
it's funny that we just quickly degenerate into Joe Rogan style and like, hey editor, look it up real quick.
Once the
Like
single bubble stabilizes the
exactly.
pressure anode, the standing wave it can be made emit pulse light driven by bubble into highly non-linear oscillations. This is done by increasing pressure of acoustic wave to disrupt the steady linear growth of the bubble, which causes the bubble to collapse in a runaway reaction that only reverses due to high pressures and inside the bubble at its minimum radius. The collapsed bubble expands due to high internal pressure and experiences diminishing effect until the high pressure anodes returns to the center of the vessel. The bubble continues to occupy more or less than the same space due to accusation radiation. Force of the Bjerknes force, buoyancy force in the bubble. Okay, that's a little more. So that's the bubble oscillations of like it getting bigger and smaller. Then the effect the differential chemicals, like I was saying before, non-volatile liquids such as sulfuric or phosphoric acid has been shown to produce flashes of light several nanoseconds in duration, which much slower bubble wall velocity, producing several thousand-fold greater light emission. This effect probably masks a single solid aqueous solutions that absorb by light white water molecules and contaminants. It can be transferred from these results to the difference in the surface tension between these different compounds and source have different spectral emitted in the time scales in which emission occurred. The light emission, and this is the showing like with all the other like it says right here, light pulses depend on the ionization energy of the noble gas with the argon having light pulse of 160 picoseconds, which is a trillionth of a second. And then like right here showing like what happens with the gases, like here showing semi-bright, very dim, extremely dim. And then like I was saying before, with these other gases, they even have an electrical process and thermal process. See, like they said right here, cavitation hotspot, temperature, heated outer shell. This is when it's life form, obviously. It's like, but like I already mentioned before, is that the thing about the whole somnolescence bubble thing is that, like I said, it's just two hydrogen atoms collapsing against each other. They're two neutrally charged hydrogen atoms collapsing against each other, and then they produce that light. That's where you get ionized particles from it, because that's what's happening right there. Because again, like I already said before, like I already showed you, just so it's not just my word, the sun is composed of hydrogen atoms, 73% of it apparently. And then when you take that factor and look at when the bubbles collapse against each other, producing a similar thing, it's because they're product of the same thing. They're related to that phenomenon. And then therefore they produce something similar like that, where the two hydrogen atoms collapse against each other. And then it just produces that weird light thing because, like I said, it's a part of the same source, but just creates its own thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Yeah.
mean, obviously I already showed you, so it's like, yeah. And then that's why you get luminescence. That's essentially the whole mechanism. Hydrogen atoms collapse against each other because the sound waves have force that negatively charged electron to collapse against that positively charged proton, then that's where you get that light, and then it acts like a sun because again, it's related to that thing. Just think of it like a cousin of the actual sun itself. It's like it's just basically part of the same source, but does different things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's like it's just it's a weird phenomenon, but like I said, at least I like made sense of it. Like how that works. And like I said, when you put other gases in, like I just showed, it's like then that will make the bubble stronger because again, gases themselves have atoms, and then we put the combine together. Then that's what makes the gas do it. Then it just turns into a science lesson. But yeah, like I said, it's like that's the thing about the whole solar lessons thing. It's like is it, in a weird way now to think about it because even ChatGPT told me this. It's like it's kind of like a stellar thing where it's like it is kind of stellar because it's a part of the same product. It's just that it forms differently because again, some less bubble like you just mentioned before. It's like you have the bubble hydrogen atoms collapse against each other, then they produce that shit, and then it's like I remember they even tried it in low gravity, and they said the light stayed a little bit longer instead of just a picosecond or a nanosecond with some of the results. It's like then basically it
Crazy.
just it has those particles being produced. Thank you. It's basically the particles being produced and having a hot spot, and then from that point on, and then the only animal that I could think of, like for example, let me type the pistol shrimp.
Oh,
Like for
that
example, I
anime
figured out,
is
yeah,
cool. Just don't keep as a
that's where
cat
it's like a real
because
anime.
yeah, don't keep as a cat
They
because it
can
has
break your glass. It
yeah.
can break your glass. Yeah, no, yeah, no. Like for example, this creature right here, this cool creature right here. You see, like his claw. Like I've already figured out how his claw works. It's that because his claw can actually um, collapse in a way where he's actually crushing hydrogen atoms with that press with the force of it, and then that's why it acts like a gun. Wow, he's like the one who actually did the original thing all along. And everybody's just copying it. Like because the way he just collapses claw, the way he collapses it, it crushes the hydrogen atoms against each other, and then therefore with the way he has it aimed and particularly at that target, then that's why it just hits the target because he's producing enough energy from the claw to actually collapse it. That's the thing too. They should have done. They should have like at least studied the prison shrimp's claw and see how they could replicate that underwater, and they could do the same thing. Because then it's just going to be them collapsing hydrogen atoms against each other with very strong force of the claw, and then that's what causes it to release that pressure from the collapsed hydrogen atoms. Oh my god, it's like an anime power up. It's like then it just collapses against it, and then it hits the target, and then that's why it does that. But yeah, it's like it's kind of weird. And the mantis shrimp can kind of do that too, but it's when it hits something directly. I guess it's strong enough to also produce, or should I say, collapse hydrogen atoms, and then it produces a similar thing too. We see the light. Like I said, it's a weird phenomenon, but that just shows that we never really try to fully understand how that shit worked. But like I said, it's just hydrogen atoms collapse against each other, and then you get this shit. It's odd, but it's there. And like you were saying, if you apply this to any water character that discovers they can do this, then they're going to be the most OP one in their own world. Like imagine Hydra Man from Marvel Comics. He technically will be the OPest one out there. Like then I feel like he could be the next MCU villain if we're going to go at it. And can you
Yeah.
imagine that, like with Hydra Man?
Yeah,
Like now we have
basically.
another dude that can do that shit.
But
Like
yeah,
okay, yeah, he's OP as fuck. Great.
now
I
we
just
see
imagine. What's weird? What's weird? Just imagine if in Chainsaw Man we have the Water Devil. Okay, no, he's literally the most OP, even stronger than the Primal Devils.
like yeah,
It's
basically. So it's like, and also thank you
like
for your
can't put him in that setting.
yeah, thank you for your TED talk. But like I said earlier,
Mm,
it's like I said. Now with your explanation, I think we are the people watch this video. They went from 100% skeptical, and now it's been reduced to 99.9. Este, so it's like I said, like Lapis. When you really think about it, her abilities is fucking OP as fuck,
right.
and it doesn't even help the case that
Yeah, because if she can, yeah, yeah,
it,
because she can just crush. Because like I said, since she literally controls every aspect of the water, all she has to do is crush hydrogen atoms against each other, and then there you go. Now she has her own lessons. She can control the light. And then now that I think about it, her friend Peridot would even look at that and explain what the things that she can do with her power. So that also would fucking help. Great. It sounds like it's a storyline you could do with Stevie Years all over again. Just focus on Lapis's development with her power set. And then we're gonna get some more with that.
when we say even more scary, it's like I may be completely wrong. It's been a while, but like that I watched the show completely, right? At the if I'm not mistaken, the the water gems are one of the very few ones that they do not need spaceships
Hmm.
to travel. They're one of the very few ones that they can actually explore space by themselves, right?
Oh
So
shit.
think about that.
It
Not
doesn't
only
even help. It doesn't even help that I was gonna say it doesn't even help that right here it says that she could do water duration in addition to manipulating existing liquid. Lapis can generate a certain amount of water from her gem. It's unknown whether the water is somehow stored within her gemstone, or she simply condensed the water molecules in the air into a liquid form. Who knows? But either way, she can still do it.
pretty much, but not only that, when you really think about it, because if this was implemented, right? If
Hmm.
the like not only she can fly by herself with her water wings, right? So she doesn't need spaceship.
Hmm.
Remember, all she needs is water to do her, her power, right? And remember, and at least
Hmm.
in the real world, in our universe, water is actually one of the most abundant sources in the universe. So she practically has
Right.
unlimited
Oh
ammo.
shit.
Like she
Oh
practically
shit.
has unlimited ammo. Like it's like you're screwed if they figure this out and make a revolt against the diamonds. They're kind of everybody's screwed. The diamonds are screwed because they can melt fucking diamonds.
You know what another problem is with that? Because you see her making literal like water wings. Just imagine she make that shit turn to Celestis too. Just imagine her flight at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah, like that's definitely gonna be a problem. Water fist. Okay, I see that.
so it's
Water.
a so like I said, when
Yeah, like I said.
you really think about it, it's like it is fucking overpowered. If that was the case, it was even funny because the caste system in Steven Universe, it's the water gems are basically not at the bottom of the hierarchy, but they're like pretty low at the hierarchy. You know,
Hmm.
if I'm not mistaken, I think the people at the bottom are actually pearls. I think pearl are like at the bottom.
Oh yeah,
Este,
pearls at the bottom.
so it's like well, technically there is like a pebble, which is it's similar to pearl. The only difference is pearl. They're service to individual like gems and diamonds. Well, pebbles are basically like public service, like just anybody. Like public services.
Hmm.
So it's like yeah, the pearls and the pebble counterpart are they're basically at the bottom of the hierarchy, and the water gems are like above them, but they're not at the top. They're like in the like kind of middle to bottom territory. It's like so. Just imagine
Hmm.
how the diamonds and all the other ones are like at the top of the houses that were like, it's like wait. The fuck you did? Like, did you melt the diamond? How the fuck? Wait, what? Oh,
Right.
este, So yeah, I think that's the all we can say about Lapis, because
Pretty much.
it is fucking OP when you really think about it. Este, even then, like Steven Universe, I just hope that
Right.
Rebecca Sugar, when she comes back, because she never wanted to start making Steven Universe, she just wanted to have a break. Este, and now, how do I say this? Now we know that she's coming back. Would she could I hope she will continue like the story and not make a fucking retcon. So it's like, please don't me look, listen to me, Rebecca Sugar. I know you're never gonna hear this video, and even you managed to watch this video, I thought you gotta watch the whole thing. But like, if you somehow manage to see this, it's like, please don't do the fucking Hell of a Boss season 2 treatment, okay? Like, please don't do that. It's like,
Oh no, please don't. Please don't.
so it's just continue what you're doing, right? Do what you continue what you're doing, and you'll be fine.
Right.
So I just hope the future series is good because I do have a love hate relationship with Steven Universe. I know
I know.
there are other videos out there that are like more script, like organized, and they go like very detailed. If they are like 5 hours long and shit. So it's they could go each by step, but I think we cover like most of the for most people. the obvious problems. You know, like I think for people who watch
Right.
the universe can agree, like some of the things we said, right? Because most of the criticism I have for Steven Universe, I do not blame Rebecca Sugar herself. I just blame the studio. You know, Cartoon Network is like rushing the final season, like removing, canceling the show because LGBT content, because they want to air in countries where it's illegal, so they had to cancel the show to appease another country that look. Uh, like if you go into appease another country that persecutes such a group of people because they're different, it's like you, you're not worthy. You're not worthy as a company. I'm sorry.
Right.
I know that's almost every
Right.
company in the world, but don't make it that obvious for fuck's sake. You know, it's like don't make it that
Right.
obvious. You know, at least pretend that you care. It's like god damn it. Este and also
Oh yeah.
and also like the setting, like I hope the art style, like the character designs for whatever future characters we gotta have, right? I
Right.
hope it's still like top notch, right? I would like to see more Pearl and her interaction with Craig, right? Because it's been hinted that they have improved their relationship, throughout after the original series. So I would like to see how that's gonna go, right? Este and also also want to see like more unknown gems because again, there's a lot,
Right.
so there's a lot of unknown gems throughout the series. Este
Right.
and like I said, I'm just here fucking glazing Steven Universe right now. Like I love the show.
Mhm.
You know, the people who hate the show it's just like kind of superficial. You can argue about the how they handle racism among the jam was poorly executed. I can understand that, right? Este,
Mhm.
and you can argue as well, like the LGBT representation was like it is the main selling point, right? Like that's the one people will praise.
Right.
You can argue how they handle it is different, right? But
Mhm.
este, but I'm just saying, like when it comes to Pearl, that is like the best written character in the show. And if we talk about like a tragic love story, also like lesbian love story, because that's the allegory we have going on here, right? With Rose and Pearl.
Right.
Este, yeah, that is the best way to show a story for kids. You know, the handles the thing without disrespecting the children's intelligence. You know,
Oh, definitely.
so there's that. I just hope I just hope in the future series like we explore more the human side as well, right? Because like anything outside a big city, we don't know jack shit. you know,
Oh, definitely.
we don't know jack shit. So I would like to see the idea that this time, that the humans are gonna be the more antagonistic force in the series, and how the gems are gonna interact because in their perspective, the only humans that
Right.
interact are in big city. So finding humans that are actively
Mhm.
hostile to gems, there's gotta be some like how they gotta react to that. I know Jasper, I know it's a kids show, but like you cannot say Jasper will be one of those characters. Like okay, let's kill some of them. It's like wait, hold on. it's like
Mhm.
hold your horses. you so like there's that. I wonder if they're going to bring back este I forgot her name. You know which one I'm talking about, from the movie, the one that's like a jester.
Yeah, from the movie. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about, but I forgot her. I forgot her name. Yeah.
Yeah, they I she has become a fan favorite when she first appeared in the movie. The movie itself is not that good. I mean, it's not horrific, but like it's just a giant filler. It's basically the movie was made for people who never watched the universe, and the movie was their introduction. That's basically what it is, right? Just one giant musical, and just you know retcons. Well, not retcon, but like it's just a kind of a reboot for people who never watched the show. You know,
Right.
so yeah. yeah, I got nothing else to say. What about you?
Oh, no, I was gonna say like I feel like for the most part, like for the things that's coming up, I think that we should definitely get more content. For example, like there's this hidden establishment that in the future we're gonna get a Shadow movie, and we might see Team Dark on the live action screen.
Well,
So like I feel like that could work.
we know Amy and Metal Sonic are gonna be in it because we saw in the post credit of Sonic
Right,
3, so that's a given. Este,
right,
let's see how it goes because so far, like when it comes to movies based on video games, Sonic right now is by far. At least if I look back at other examples, I may change my mind. But right now, so far, like Sonic is like the best movie based of a existing video game franchise so far. You know, it's one,
right.
and
That's the
also
only one. Yeah,
and also a
yeah,
rare example where each sequel is better than the last. Usually that doesn't happen too often.
right.
Usually it's either the first movie is the best or the first sequel is the best, and then everything else is like not the same quality. This is like the rare example was like love the first movie, second movie better, third movie even better. Like that's rare. That's rare that happens.
That's extremely rare.
You know, let's hope Sonic 4 keeps the quality like that. You know, I don't think Eggman's gonna be in it because he canonically dies in the third movie unless they do a Deus Ex Machina that he somehow survive, or unless they do the Archie Sonic approach where Eggman from a different universe comes in. They can do that. So, but I don't know
I
if
mean, it did happen in Archie Sonic after all, but who knows?
yeah. I mean, I don't know if if I don't know the actor will willing to do the same role a fourth time. You know, because usually he has the reputation for only gonna play the same role once, right? And but this is like he loved the role so much he did it, 3 times, which is very rare. you
That
know,
is rare. I mean, then again, he liked being Eggman. And then who would have thought that Jim Carrey Eggman of all things in the long run?
pretty much nobody expected that. Like I said, Jim Carrey has a reputation for not playing the same role twice. It's very rare for him to do that, right? So for him to do the Doctor Eggman 3 times, it's like he loves the job. Like he's having a good time if he's doing that role 3 times. Okay.
Yeah, like he's clearly passionate about it. He's clearly passionate about like being Eggman and shit. So it's like, yeah, I can see it. I mean, he's been doing a good job so far.
Yeah,
Like in the beginning, I was like a little iffy, and then like, you know what? He's actually in this role pretty well. So
yeah. The
then
only
we got the
time.
Knuckles show,
Oh yeah, I haven't
and
watched
then I
that
wouldn't
one.
be surprised if we. I watched it. I watched it till the end. It was decent.
Okay.
But I was also like I was also thinking like because of that, then we could expand because they do want to make a Sonic movie or SCU Sonic Cinematic Universe. It was like basically they just want to like we might even get like a live action of like maybe Rouge or something like that or maybe something equivalent just like Knuckles show or even
Yeah.
Shadow have his own show. It's like who knows, because that could be interesting to
Yeah.
go in a direction with something like that. And then not only that, already I think I already showed you like they had like this little short of like they showing what Rouge looked like in the live action movie. And I was like, okay, her design looks pretty damn good, and like I like it. All it's missing is like how are they gonna introduce Omega? But then again, we haven't gotten to that point yet. We're gonna introduce Omega, so
Yeah. It's gonna be one at a time because if they're gonna keep introducing more Sonic characters, it's gonna be like movie by movie basis. If they're gonna keep making more movies, right? If the
yeah, because the franchise has huge lore, especially with Archie Sonic. Because Archie Sonic went for how many years? Because I
20.
forget. Because I should have. Oh damn.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
much older than that franchise.
It
I'm
is
much older than that franchise.
it is the longest running Sonic comic ever. And I think at one point I may be wrong. I know the Sonic fans are gonna correct the shit on me, but like I like Archie Sonic, I think used to have a record. I don't. I think so to be one of the longest running like comic books ever made based off a video game character. So it's
And then
like
not to mention like after Archie ended, like they originally had the Metal Virus Saga for Archie, but then since that shit canned when IDW came in, and then they started doing that shit there with IDW stuff. So then we got IDW Sonic, and that's been running for about 10 years.
Yeah.
give or take. I forgot how many years exactly. I think I want to say it was probably maybe either 2017 or 2018. So that had to have been like, yeah, it hasn't been that long for that matter. So
Yeah.
that still has quite a pretty good lore. I even showed you the lore of that.
Yeah.
It's pretty decent. But yeah, Archie Sonic, yeah, they have a lot of shit they're gonna add in from that, especially the interesting characters they got in the long run. Because they might, like you said, do the whole thing of like kill Robotnik, then we get Doctor Eggman.
Yeah.
It's like how they do with another a whole other thing. It's like, okay, that's interesting.
Very much.
You know,
Like I said,
I do like how they handled Gerald though. I do like how they handled Gerald. So
oh yeah, definitely. That's why I just hope they don't do the same mistake what they did with the early adventure era games, where they introduced way too many
right.
characters at the same time. So
Didn't that happen with Sonic Adventure 2? Didn't that happen with Sonic Adventure 2? Where they introduced Silver, Blaze, and a lot of other ones, and then unfortunately Silver at that time he didn't have the best rep because he came with the wrong era.
yeah,
Because at first he didn't have the positive thing being known for coming from that game, and then over time people just kind of like looked over it.
yeah,
I was
yes,
like, damn it, this is not
yeah.
a good way to start out with the Silver.
Man, I feel bad for Silver, but I know there are Silver fans. It's like, oh, who's your favorite character? Silver. The guy from Sonic 06. I know that was the worst time to start, but like, hey, after that, he did a good job. You know, it's like I feel bad for
I mean, at
Silver
least he stayed in the franchise. At least he stayed in the franchise.
by
Oh,
more
great!
by
Just imagine out of everybody else, you say, "Oh, Rouge," like okay, but when you say Silver, it's like, "Oh, you mean from Sonic '06?" Yeah, that's not helping anything.
yeah.
It's
I
like that's
I
not
mean,
helping anything.
and like I said, like I said, like I feel bad for Silver fans because like I'm survived that he's still in the franchise. That was just a pure miracle because
He is.
just imagine yourself like, oh, when did you debut? Sonic 06. Oh, oh.
I mean, surprisingly, because no, but because like look at Silver in the long run, where it's like he's still like he appeared in Archie Sonic, and then he even appeared in IDW. So yeah, he's still in the franchise, surprisingly, despite the bullshit that happened in the early stuff. I'm
Yeah,
like, well, that's a good thing. Although I will say this though, out of all the Sonic, like, okay, like for example, my introduction to Sonic was Sonic X, and that was my favorite shit. But then after that, Sonic Boom, I did not like Sonic Boom. I did like Sonic Prime, did not like Sonic Boom. But Sonic shows didn't really pan out that well. Who am I kidding? The 2010s weren't really a good time for Sonic, honestly, or especially Sonic fans, because that franchise wasn't doing too good at that moment. It's still making games that didn't work out too well. Yeah, don't get me started on Sonic Forces. That one didn't do well.
yeah.
Oh man.
It
And then
happens.
And then Sonic Frontiers. Now that one did decently. Now that one did decently. That one did better than the other shit did. So at least I can say something about that.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like man, I feel bad for some of the characters, like and this is me side tangent real quick. Like
Hmm.
for the longest time, I thought when Sonic 06 came out, right? Este, I thought it's gonna be okay. This is the worst Sonic game ever made. I think nobody's gonna dispute me on that part, right? Este,
Hmm.
it surely get worse than this. And then Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric came out, and I'm like, how? Like how?
Hmm.
It's like you know what? I'm not even mad. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. How do you manage to make a game worse than Sonic 06? Like you think you should have learned your lesson by now, but no.
Hmm.
Like somehow you made it worse. Like how do you make a game where
Right.
where the fucking opening, like the first 30 seconds in the game, we find like 12 different glitches. It's like,
Right.
it's like
I know, right?
how is that even
There was even a
possible?
glitch. There was even a glitch where one person was saying like, if you keep pausing the menu, I think it might be another game, but if you keep pausing the menu, you can go up in the air. I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. You get levitation. I guess this is levitation now. All you have to do is keep doing that shit. There you go. You don't have to go through any other levels. It's just a perfect way to bypass everything. Oh my god, I hated that time when those games had so many damn glitches. You can do nothing, or like the invisible wall, to basically you just kind of like going through matter and shit. Like, okay, I did not know that he could phase through shit like a damn speedster or something.
Yeah,
I mean, then again, they are speedsters, but there you go.
yeah.
It's like
I
you
mean
spend
that
a day with a
that's
flash. Now you can go through things.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like I said, it's one of those things. just one of those things that you just can't help it. It's like man,
Right.
I don't know how to say. Like I love Sonic. I grew up with that shit. As a kid, I was a Sonic fan over a Mario fan. As a kid, and then that was a struggle to be a fan because Sonic was six,
I
you
know.
know, and then fucking Shadow the Hedgehog. I'm a fan of Shadow the Hedgehog, the game. But it was mean to hell in the beginning. Sonic X. Some people love it, some people hate it.
I
The
love
fact.
I like Sonic X. Like I said, that's my introduction to Sonic. It's like I like Sonic X. Even now, I still like Sonic X. Like I like that was my thing, especially the theme song. Gotta go fast. Like shit became pretty permanent. I think it's one of the few things I can say in 2000s that was kind of a catchy theme. Gotta go fast. Gotta go faster, faster. Like that was like one of the like it's one of the more catchier theme songs of the 2000s. And then after that, I just kind of stuck with Sonic.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, and then unfortunately in the 2010s we entered the boom era, which I hate. That's actually my least favorite. That's my least favorite. That's my least favorite like Sonic era, the Sonic Boom shit. I'm like, oh no, I hate this shit. Like the Rise of Lyric, that game sucked ass. The only thing that was good is the portable games, but the PlayStation ones, yeah, those suck at balls. Uh, I don't even think anybody else liked the other games that came through that. And some people even said the writing in the game, like at least story wise, the writing in the game is better than the show. I'm like, you know what? That's sad that that's so freaking true. Like the writing in the game is somehow better. No, I'm talking about like I'm talking about like if we're talking about moving the plot forward, like or actually then again this because there is a plot, or especially if you go with the PlayStation Portable one, I'm like, okay, at least I can say it's somewhat better to a certain extent.
Yeah,
But
if we talk about
yeah,
the PSP, then yeah, the story wise, like it's slightly better, slightly. It's the
yeah, slightly.
you
I'm not
know
saying it's. I'm not saying it's an Oscar award. I'm saying like compared to the game. I mean, compared to the show, like okay, at least it has something for it. I can't say the same for the show. Like I like to be honest with you, I hate the show. Like the show is not good.
yeah, and
It's ass, is what it is.
mine is kind of a guilty pleasure where I know it's not good.
It's ass.
I'm aware of it,
Yeah,
but sometimes I enjoy it because like the random comedic side part of it, where it's like yeah, it's the stupid moments, right? But besides that,
dude. They made Knuckles a complete idiot. At least I can say with the like usual portrayals, he's not like just some idiot. You know, like I would say he's naive. But he's not just a straight up idiot. And that show to me, him a straight up dumbass. Like what the fuck?
yeah, well, there's that,
Like
and also the
like I
redesign.
said, that's why.
Also the
Oh yes,
redesign.
and the redesign.
Look, not gonna lie, for many of the characters in Sonic, Sonic Boom, my mistake. Knuckles is by far the worst redesign for me, right? Like for me personally.
I have to agree with you on that.
Oh,
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. Like
but
his redesign.
for
I
the
mean,
other for
I
the
was gonna
other
say.
characters, I'm sorry, go on.
Uh huh. No, I was gonna say like I was gonna say like Eggman's redesign that one looks okay for me. Like I think it's okay. Like I'm
Yeah,
not gonna say it's bad. I think it's okay.
yeah.
But
Although
yeah.
I do. Besides Knuckles, I don't like, but the other characters like Sonic, Amy, and Tails, I do kind of enjoy. It grow on me, right? Like I do enjoy their redesigns, right? Is Eggman design? I actually kind of love it. Este,
You know, I hate to say this. I hate to say this, but now I just feel like if Eggman literally destroyed the entire Sonic Boom universe, I don't even think he might be mad at him at that point. Like you did a good job. You did a good job.
like
No
finally,
one's gonna
like
be mad at him at that point for blowing up something. He did the right thing finally.
yeah,
Finally, the Sega Genesis wave. Good job. You did a fantastic job creating Omnicide. The one time Omnicide is good, constructive Omnicide. Never thought I'd put those words together, but
there you go. I don't think we should
it's
praise on
like
the side, but okay, there's that. It's like
I mean, I'm just saying. Okay. Hollywood things suck really badly, really bad. For example, Bizarro, like the Bizarro world. Okay, you destroy that, no one's gonna complain. Okay, like I can at least say, okay, it's like at this point you're like being the god of destruction. Okay, you're committing homicide, but it's for a good reason. At least maybe in that context, you can kind of at least promote it a little bit, but still,
yeah. And now
it's like this
imagine
shit. This place is shit.
now imagine if we upload this on YouTube, because I'm also recording just in case something goes wrong with your file. But like if you upload it, I
Right.
know it's gonna be a different title in the comment section. I just gotta put. Did my bro just defend the omnicide? It's like, It's
I
like,
mean, listen, no, but listen, no, but listen, hear me out. Just imagine if there are some international people, and they're like, okay, if you can prove me that your world isn't lame or doesn't suck, then I won't destroy it, you know. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to prove them that this shit isn't completely whack. That way, they won't just completely obliterate it, you know. It's one of those things where it's like you're just going to be the Lord Beerus of, okay, if this shit is whack, we're going to destroy it. As simple as that. Okay, but if you can give us, if you can prove us give us one reason why we shouldn't, then okay, well then we won't do that shit. That's just what it is right there. Like I said, it's like if like I said, if Doctor Eggman blew up the Sonic Boom entire thing, yeah, then no one's gonna complain about that shit. Like, oh, that shit was whack anyway, man. Like you did us a favor. Like that wasn't even a problem. You did us a favor. Okay, so the villain
yeah.
saved the day. Who'd have thought?
Remember, people, our
You know.
second ever episode. Here you go, the Omniside Defender.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, I had to call you out somehow because you called me out on my silliness like in the first video. Like, fuck you.
Hey, dude. Hey, dude. Okay, okay, first of all, that was you simping. Me is just getting rid of shit that sucks. Me is just getting rid of shit that sucks, you know? Like I said, I mean, who am I kidding? You know for a fact that Floor Bear saw planet people they too dumb to even do anything right. You know he's gonna blow that planet up. At the point you can't even blame him, like, okay, yeah, fair enough. People they weren't that bright anyway. They couldn't even build a civilization. They were so dumb they thought a toilet paper was some kind of like I don't know, dessert or something, you know, something like that. You know, they're so dumb that they don't even know how to survive. They're so
Yeah,
dumb they don't even know their life's in danger. Like, yeah, you might as well blow up the plant, man. I mean, you can't work with that shit. It just happens. So yeah, at that point it's justified. Homicide is justified. Weirdly enough, I can't believe I'm saying that, but homicide is kind of justified, and that's just like, there we go.
pretty much.
I think I know it sounds bad, but honestly, that's the whole point of the destruction shit. You have to destroy shit when it comes to that, at least. You know, and to create something else. That's just how it is with the forces of nature, as far as that goes. So yeah, it's like, yeah, this is bad.
Yeah, this like yes, yes, officer. We were just saying that in Minecraft. You know, like okay,
Right.
now we can do this in Minecraft. Nothing suspicious going on around.
Chicken jockey.
No, 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 no. Like fucking what wasn't that? You just scream at top of your lungs, like me going to the theater, flint and steel, and like the fucking theater up with the play for. It's like it's like, you know, it's like for Christ's sake, that's just stupid. Okay, now I need to rewrite the title. It's like Vanity about Steven Universe and Sonic because that's just dumb.
Oh, I
That's just
swear.
dumb. Welcome, people. We are very professionally unprofessional. It's like, that's our model.
I swear.
Oh, that's just stupid. But yeah,
I know.
uh, anything we need to add to the conversation, or are we good for the video?
Actually, I think we're good for the video. We can stop it here.
Okay, I can see that.
So yeah. Okay, yeah.
Okay. So thank you, everybody. If just in case you don't have anything in advance, just tell me in advance. If the Thank you, everybody watched this video. Here I'm just rambling. I hope you guys or girls or whoever you're watching, didn't get a stroke when I mentioned lupus. If they can survive with 140k, and give you a physics lesson on how that's work. So yeah, next week
Yeah,
we can talk about something else. We're not gonna say in advance. That will be spoilers. And I'll see
right.
you guys next
Pretty
week.
much.
So